me today to do some crafting. I know for me, these have really helped, these live videos. If you don't know me, if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Kelly Kronowski, and I am the social media manager at Ranger. Today we are going to be sharing the Speckled embossing powders, making some fun projects, and just really having a good time. Hi everyone, hi Terry. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're joining us, please, as always, feel free to share the video and comment below that you've shared it. I will enter 2 people in for a raffle to win this wonderful assortment of Speckled embossing powder. So these are probably some of my favorite Ranger products. I just love the color palette, I love the assortment, and what I love about them is the mixture of granules that you get inside these embossing powders. They create some really unique looks and they're just so fun to play with. And I just thought, wow, these are so spring inspired, perfect for Easter coming up. They just remind me of speckled eggs. And I thought, let's just dive in and have some fun playing with them. I know, like I said, for me, these live videos have really been helpful just to get my mind off of like what's going on. I love checking in with all of you and just chatting. It's just really fun to interact virtually and just have a good time. So that's what we're here for. I hope you're enjoying the videos. If you have any questions, I am here to help answer them. Thank you all for tuning in and sharing. You've never used the speckled powders. Well, let's get in. First, I'll show them all. Hey Marie, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. It is a beautiful color range. It's just these gorgeous pastel colors, and we're gonna create 2 projects today. I'm really excited, and yeah, let's just get it going. So the first color we have here is Cotton Candy, and the amazing thing, let me just open up this jar and I'll show you my swatches, is not only do you get that opaque color powder, you also get granules of gold, white, and glitter. So you get this amazing flecks of those colors throughout the powder as you use it. And this is Cotton Candy, so it's this beautiful pink color. Let me just hold it up there so you can see those amazing granules. So these are just fabulous for mixed media, in your journals, on cards, really anything. And yes, they remind me of Easter eggs, which is why I really wanted to hop on here right before Easter and share these with you guys. These we released probably about a year or so ago, and I don't know if a lot of people know that we have them, and they're really one of my favorite products. So I was really excited to be able to come on and share them with you today. So the next one we have is the Lemon Drop. So Lemon Drop, this beautiful yellow shade. I'm gonna loosen up. I didn't have any rings at home, like binder rings, so I'm using this twist tie to put my swatches together, and it's not really working out. There we go. So Lemon Drop, and you have 2 of them. Fun playing with them. Even put the new glaze embossing powder. Oh, that would be really pretty. So Tim's glaze is over top. So there you have it, Lemon Drop. Next we have Mint Chip, which is a beautiful minty green color. And you can see that one right here. I love this one. I love mint green. It's one of my favorites. Next we have Blueberry. And that is just a beautiful blue shade. And you can see, obviously you get what you get when you sprinkle your powder on. So it's just gonna really leave a beautiful, natural, kind of random assortment of color. You can actually see some of that sparkle from those very fine glitter flecks in there. So it's just really fun. Lavender, beautiful purple. This is a great springtime color right there. And of course, flurries. Now, the thing that people I don't think realize about flurries is let me get it good, there we go. Flurries is actually a clear base powder, so you can put it over on top of anything and it'll show the color underneath. So I did a few samples of the flurries, and so this is flurries on white. And you can see all that beautiful gold and white flecks. Thank you for sharing. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you're just joining, please share the video, comment that you shared it, and you'll be entered into my giveaway to receive these beautiful embossing powders. If you cannot stay for the whole video, the replay will be up so you can catch it later. It'll also be on our website and YouTube in a day or two. And yeah, that's it. So back to Flurries. So Flurries, awesome clear base powder. So anything you put underneath will see through. So here it is on black. So you just get that clear powder with that black, with those white and gold flecks coming through. And then here it is over top, just like of a inked background. So I have kind of like a green and yellow kind of modeled background, and then you have that clear Flurries right on top of it. So we're going to do a special project with the Flurries because, like I said, I don't think a lot of people realize that it is a clear base and that you can actually see through it. And that is just really special. Flurries is awesome because you can make it any color you want pretty much. So we're going to get started, and the first thing, I'm just going to move these off to the side. Oh, I'm glad you guys like the colors. Okay, I'm gonna move my swatches over. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is actually make a little banner. Somebody said these look like Easter eggs, and yes, to me, that is what they look like. And I thought, how fun, let's make a quick home decor project for Easter time. If you're like me, you probably have a ton of cardboard hanging around. Can these be used in fluid art? I haven't tried them in fluid art, but I would imagine they could. They're meant to be melted to really get that color, but if you're just sprinkling them on, they're just like any other embossing powder. So if you've used regular embossing powder mixed in your fluid art, then you would be able to use these. Makes a great galaxy. Yes, it totally would make a great galaxy. So if you're like me, you probably have a ton of cardboard because I've been getting packages delivered. So what I did was went through my recycling bin. I found a nice piece of cardboard, and I went ahead and went online and created a little, I'm just gonna lift up my box here. I don't want to block my light. Okay, so I just printed an egg shape out on the computer, cut one out, and then I used it to trace my cardboard, cut it out. I actually pre-did this just because I felt like it was going to take a really long time. So I traced them out, cut them with scissors, and then what I did is I sprayed them with Dina Wakley gloss spray and let them dry. So I actually printed one extra, cut out one extra, and I was supposed to show you guys, but I got so into doing it yesterday that I actually sprayed the test one. So of course I'm gonna cover my good craft sheet with my used craft sheet because I don't want to dirty my good craft sheet. And I'm gonna put these aside. I'm just gonna show you guys one because I want to show you how the spray works. So we're just gonna give this a good shake. These are new, these are the gloss sprays. So you wanna shake it to the mixing bowl rattles. These are, I'm gonna get a better back actually, there we go. These are a acrylic paint spray, and this is white. They have like a gloss finish, not a high gloss, I would say a, what is that, like a satin finish. And I just sprayed it. So I just did one of these and I just set it aside to dry. It does, because I really saturated it, it does take, I would say about an hour or so to dry. So I just set them off aside and let it dry. And then what I did is I came in with a paintbrush and some acrylic paint, and I just painted the edges just a little bit. So I just thought this was a fun project to use up some of that recycled cardboard that you probably have flowing in your house. Like, we have so much cardboard. Tell me I'm not the only one because we've just been getting, trying to get a lot of things delivered instead of going obviously to the store. So we've been having a lot of cardboard, and I was like, all right, I need to come up with a project to use up some of this cardboard. So, and this is something that you can get your kids involved with. I know I have a 5-year-old daughter. I think she might be making a debut with me on an upcoming video. But she's been crafting with me, and she was like, Mommy, can I please make this with you? She wanted to come on so bad today because she just loved this project. So I'm gonna just set this aside. I don't want to put it somewhere where it doesn't fall. Okay, and then I'm just gonna wipe this up. You can typically, you know, Dina would say don't waste that. I'm just gonna clean my surface. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, and this is just super easy and fun. It's not anything too crazy. I'm gonna actually make little eggs using some stencils and the embossing powder. So I'm just gonna emboss some designs on it, and they just make the cutest eggs. And I can't wait for you to see the colors actually melted. So I have some lettered stencils here. I just picked ones that I thought would look nice and also had some like bigger areas. I also picked one of these new dilution stencils. This is called Martha's Mat. So it's little circles and some heart shapes. So I'm just gonna start with one and show you guys how this comes together. And what I'm gonna do actually is grab my Make Art Station. One thing I did forget, hold on. I have the 9x9 craft sheet somewhere and I forgot to take it out, so forgive me, but I'm just gonna work on this little scrap of one that I have here. I'm working with 3 craft sheets right now. I'm like ultra protected. A garage full of cardboard, you're not alone. Oh good, I'm glad I'm not alone, but I'm glad I'm recycling it, right? So how I'm gonna do this is I'm actually gonna use the magnets to hold this down, and it does create like a little bit of a buckle, but at least if you guys have watched me, I am not a neat crafter, so this does help me to just keep it a little bit neater and a little bit more organized. And then we're gonna go in with embossing ink. I have the Letter It embossing ink pad clear. Any of our embossing ink pads would work for this. And don't mind, again, messy crafter. I got some ink on there, but it does not contaminate the pad. So if you ever get ink on your pad, don't worry about it. It is not contaminated. And then I'm going in with an ink blending tool with just a foam on it. And so I'm gonna apply the ink through the stencil just right with this foam. I find that this really helps me to not mess up because I can kind of do this dabbing motion through the stencil. And you don't need a lot of ink for this. And we're just gonna make sure that we go through all the areas. And you know, when I was making the sample, actually, I could just show you my sample. When I was making my sample, like it wasn't perfect, but when you string it, like it's so adorable. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's all twisted. Hold on. Okay. There we go. It's just so adorable. Like it doesn't even have to be perfect. So, I don't know. This was just a fun project to do. And like I said, it would be a great thing to get your kids involved. Your kids are totally capable of dabbing this just like I am right now. All right, that should be plenty. I'm gonna move this to the side. We'll remove our stencil and pull that up. And it doesn't have to be eggs. It could be anything. It could just be circles. It could be, I'm gonna keep that down. I'm gonna grab my scrap paper. Okay, piece of scrap paper. I'm gonna use my cotton candy ink. Sprinkle that on. I'm pretty generous when I'm sprinkling it on, just how I am. So there we go. So that actually came out really nice. And I'm gonna put this down here, return this. And it's up to you if you want to ink them all and then heat them all. I think I'll heat one first. I'm using so I have both the Ranger heated craft tool and an embossing gun. I'm going to use the embossing gun today because this actually has a little more directed heat. And last time I embossed on camera, it was hard for me to see it melting and I didn't do a great job with it. But our heated craft tool will work just fine to melt these. It just would take a little bit longer because it has a wider nozzle and it's not as directed. So I love this for drying inks and things like that. Today on the camera, I'm using one of these guys just because I want to make sure that I actually melt it and not mess it up. And I'm sorry if it gets a little loud. Oh, hey Angie, thanks for tuning in. Just zooming in so you can see it melting. Hi, Karen. Okay, so it's really starting to go now. Okay, so you want to make sure that these powders are good and melted when you're doing this, because what I found is if you, like I could see here, there's a couple powders that aren't melted all the way. So I'm just going to hit it again. I found if it's not really, business is interrupting my video time. What are they thinking? Catch the replay if you have to run. But let me just move this up. Since the gloss spray does have that semi-gloss finish, if the powder is not like really melted on there, it can easily come off. So you just really want to make sure that it's nice and melted, and you can kind of see there just how really melted those powders are. And I'm just going to hit the bottom. Oh, I'm glad you love the project. It's just something that's really easy and quick, and you can do this exact same thing on your journal covers, on cards, really on anything. I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to just go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make, I have 4 others to make, so I'm just going to work on doing the stenciling and then I'll melt them all at the end. That way I'm not so back and forth and we can chat because the embossing gun is pretty loud. Okay, so next we're going to do the heart. We'll do the stripe stencil. So let me zoom back out so you can see what I'm doing. Out a little too much. There you go. Does it take these powders longer to melt with the font? Yes, so they do have a higher melting point. So that is why I decided to use the embossing gun and not the Ranger heat tool, because the heat is more diffused with the embossing gun, and they'll melt quicker that way. The Ranger heat tool will melt them just fine. It just takes a little longer, and since we're on live video, I didn't want to be melting powder for longer than I had to be, but they do take a little bit longer to melt. But the beautiful part about it is you can easily see them start to take off and melt. So okay, so this is called Organic Stripes. It's a lettered stencil, and I'm gonna put it on a diagonal just like this. We use our Make Art Station magnets to hold this down, and off we go. Okay, and so I'm doing that dabbing instead of swiping to try and not mess this one up. This is a stencil that for me, I have to be very careful with, but it creates amazing results when you do it correctly because it's just, you know, basic stripe stencil. Just making sure I got all the areas. All right, there we go. Now remove, put this aside. And when you're done with your stencils, you're just gonna want to either wet paper towel or water, just clean them off when you're done. I'm putting them aside for now and I'll clean later. Okay, I'm gonna do yellow for this. This is the lemon drop. And let me make sure I put my scrap paper back under there. Okay, and if you, this actually came out pretty good, but if you do have any rogue powder, you just can take a fluffy thin brush and just kind of brush that off. Grab one of my brushes. Okay, so I'm just gonna very gently it actually came out pretty good. So there's the yellow, and so I'm just gonna put these aside so that way I can melt them all together. Yeah, the yellow is really pretty. It's a pretty, you know, I love these shades. They're definitely on the pastel side, but this yellow is just such a pretty yellow. Okay, grab another egg. Next stencil. We'll do our dilution. So this is a dilution small stencil. I liked it because it had the small circles. I thought they were fun. It was a nice mix. So again, if you watched my last video, which was on the glitter gels, I used a lot of different designers' products all together. That's kind of how I work. I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate. Not that it's discrimination, but you know what I mean. Like, I just love mixing and matching. So, oh, you're supposed to be working, but if anybody asks, you're at lunch. Okay, I will vouch for you. Just tell them to talk to me. So again, here we go. Dabbing the ink through the stencil. Being careful not to swipe. I just find this technique works for getting the ink actually through the stencil and not slipping. And it doesn't take a lot of ink. I'm just going over it multiple times just to be certain that I got all of the areas. Okay, remove that. And like I said, this is a great project to do with kids. At this time, I'm going to go in with the mint chip, which is the mint green color. So my practice one, I actually hung up on my like little banquette, I guess it is. And it looks really cute. It's actually a really cute little decoration. Okay, so this one I wasn't as careful. You could see I kind of got a little extra there, but I'm not even worried about it. You could go in and like clean this up, but I think you're gonna end up making it worse. And I think the powders are so pretty. I don't mind when it's a little not perfect. The mint is so pretty. I'm a sucker for mints and like light teals and just so pretty. Glad you guys like the colors. Okay, next one. Where's the rest of my eggs? Where did I put them? Oh, here we go. Okay, two more. So next we're gonna do we'll do the big circles. how fun is this stencil? So this is called Polka Dotting. It's one of our newer letterette stencils. I'm gonna just put this aside. I'm gonna actually use this on another project next with the flurries. So I don't wanna lose that. So what I love about this stencil is that the ink blending tool actually fits like right in these circles. So it makes it easy to not mess up. And so if you have like ink or anything like that, you could just go right into these circles here. Just making sure we get all of them. Hello everyone. If you only use 2 magnets in diagonal corners instead of the 4, then it wouldn't buckle so much. Oh, let me try that. So, well, I guess I could just do this. I feel like it's like lifting up a little. I don't know, you do what you find most comfortable, I think. Okay, we're gonna lift up. And what color did I say I was doing? I forgot. Oh, blue. I'm gonna do blue. Oh, scrap paper. I hate that. I hate when that happens. Sometimes I sprinkle the powder and I forget to put the scrap paper down. Then I got powder all over my craft sheet, and then I'm trying to get it back in the jar. Okay. So that is the blueberry. The blueberry is really fun. And if you happen to hear Frozen music playing, my kids are playing with their dad in our garage, which is right next door. And my daughter has a Frozen Jeep that sings. I'm just cleaning this up just a little bit. I got some Rogue powder, but there you go. There's the blue. And okay, last one. We're gonna go with this one, which is called Rocking Stripes. It's a newer letterette stencil as well. Much better than the smaller dot stencil. Yeah, you know, sometimes you... So this was my sample. And I don't know, I like how it came out. With a dimensional project, perhaps a magnet under the stencil as well as those above. Oh, that might work. So you mean like rest it here? Hey, this is what we're here for, right? To have fun and play and experiment. So it's still a little raised. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with this because I'm used to doing it this way. Okay, so here we go. Dab, dab, dab through the stencil. And you can decorate these eggs with liquid pearls, with stickles. In addition, you can accent over the powders, in between the powders. So you can really have fun with these. Okay. All right. Put that aside. Hi, Sharon. Oh, under the board. Okay, move the stencil out. Scrap paper. Last color, that is the purple, which is the lavender. And there's the lavender. Put that aside. So that is the Rocking Stripe stencil. I'm gonna move my scrap paper over. Put the magnets under stencil, then tape stencil to magnets. I guess you could, yeah, that would work. I don't know, the 4 magnets on the side, it didn't matter. It didn't bother me that there was a little buckling because you're dabbing down. But you know, I think the great thing about the station is that there's many ways to use it and you can find what works best for you and your project. And what I love about it is that you can heat right on top of it. So I'm going to melt the powders. Exactly, that's what makes it homemade, exactly. And I'm an imperfect crafter. I will never come here and say I'm a perfect crafter. I just, I enjoy it and I enjoy being here with all of you, and I hope that you enjoy the videos as well. Okay, so I'm just making sure everything is good and melted. Like I said, it's really important that all of the areas are melted. Otherwise, it will come off of the background. Let me just, I thought I felt one on here. Yeah, see, you could kind of tell. I'm gonna wipe my hands. On the edge right there, there's a little spot. Oops. Okay, next, let's continue on. Oh, thank you, Jackie, so much. Happy Easter to you as well. So what is, for those of you celebrating Easter, It's kind of different this year, right? Not being with family. This is definitely some uncharted territory, I know for me. I'm trying to uphold some family traditions as much as I can for my kids. I have a 2 and a 5-year-old, so you're gonna do it by video. Oh, that's a good idea. I've had some Zoom dinners with some of my family members, and I'm sure we'll be Zooming at some point in the day. Oh, thanks, Sharon. And we're gonna drop off some Easter baskets to my nieces and just leave them on their doorstep. So that'll be fun. All right, this is our last one here. This is the blue, big polka dots. I love this one. I think that's my favorite. This would look cute if you did them in all different powders. And since the polka dots are so big, you can realign up the stencil. So you can do each dot in a different embossing powder. Yeah, that's sad, right? The egg hunt. What are we gonna do, right? Oh, I'm glad you love the project. Okay, so now that they're all melted, this is just super simple to put together. I'm gonna use some, this is Tim Holtz Ideology paper string. I'm not sure if this is an existing SKU or not. I happen to have it at home in my stash. And I went with brown just because it was a neutral color and my furniture is brown, so I thought it would blend in when I hung it up. And so I'm just gonna cut a length depending on, you know, how long you need it to be. I don't need it that long. My area is pretty small. Let's get this in the picture here. Go for that. Get that out of the way. And then I'm just gonna punch holes with, I have a crocodile tool. I don't know if these are around either, but I've had this for many years, which many of you may as well. But it's just easy to make holes in cardboard and other things. And I just eyeball it. Be creative, they will have fun making new memories. That is so true, Adrienne. And like I said, my daughter and I, we've been crafting a lot together since I've been home. And it's funny because typically I don't really have time to craft because I'm working and then we come home and there's a lot going on. But because I have to kind of craft at home now for work, she's able to join in more. And do we know who won? I will call winners usually in the next day or two. So anyway, I've been crafting a lot more with my daughter, being that all my stuff is kind of home and like I have a little area for it. So it's been a lot of fun to share that with her. Crocodiles are still around, and they even have one with multiple hole sizes that you can rotate to choose. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so this one has 2 sizes, a small and like a medium. I don't know, but that is one of my private stash tools that came in handy for this project. And my hair is shedding. Okay. Yes, this is an adorable project to do with kids. And I'm just going to string this together really quick. Let me get in the camera so you guys can see. And you can just see that it comes together really fast. It's just a fun, creative project. It doesn't take a lot of effort. I know these days I feel like sometimes like, I don't want to say thoughtless, but things that you don't have to think too hard about, that you could just have fun with and kind of take your mind off of things, are a lifesaver. I know for me, my mind has just been going. So anytime I can just shut it off and just have fun and enjoy the moment has really been helpful for me. And I think this is what this project is, you know, just have fun, pick some stencils. If you don't have stencils, do your own designs. Use a stamp, anything. So you can come in here with liquid pearls and stickles and decorate it further. I know anytime I pull out those products with my daughter, she's in her glory. She absolutely loves them. So you can add further accents onto here. You can keep it simple like I'm doing. I just love the colors and the powders and the different textures that are in those powders. And it doesn't take a lot of product. That is so true. So I'm just stringing these like to separate the dots and the more line art. But you can hang them in any order that you like. And you can do as many as you like. So I'm doing 5. And I should say my eggs are about, I think they were like 4 inches. Let me get my ruler. They're about 3 inches wide by about 4 inches high. I don't know if that helps when sizing, but I think they're a nice size. Okay. So, and if you don't have the powders and you're interested in them, they are available on the Ranger website, and we are still shipping right now. Fortunate. I just knocked over my bucket of supplies. Okay, so here we are. Here is our little Easter. Let me zoom back out so you guys can see it. A little bit more. Okay, that's a lot of it, Kelly. there it is. So there's our little Easter garland. Super fun project and great to include the kids in on. Little fun decor project. If you didn't want to make a home decor project, you could do the same technique on pretty much anything. Cards would look adorable on, journal covers, journal pages, really anything. So that is project number 1. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Super simple, easy, not a lot of thought, but just a lot of fun, which that's what I am enjoying these days. Okay, so the next project we're gonna make a little card, and I thought I would do a little springtime card. And let me just collect my things that fell. All right. So this is a really fun one. Do you guys want to see the card, or do you want to be surprised by the card? Let me zoom back in just a little bit. Let me get my supplies out while we talk about what we're gonna make. So this one, we're gonna focus on our flurries. Our flurries powder. So that flurries powder, again, is a clear base. So anything that you put it over will show through. So if you missed the beginning and you missed me talking about flurries, we didn't use flurries in the banner. I saved it for this special card project. And this is a great card project for springtime. I just did a general, I'm gonna do a general saying on it, because I've been talking about, with my daughter, we've been making some cards and wanting to send them out to some people, family members, nurses, things like that. And so I thought, you know what, I'll do one that is kind of spring colors, but also is just more of a general. So haven't had to go to the craft store. Hubby says I have my own. That's true, don't we all? And this is a great time to really pull out your stash and see what you have. Okay, so you want to see the card. Okay, so this is a great time to really pull out your stash, see what you have, and just play with it, right? So I'm an enabler, already ordered a jar of the flurries. Oh, thank Thanks, Jen. I'm sorry about the being an enabler, but I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. That means my video is working, I guess, right? So this is the card we're gonna make with the flurries, and I actually really liked how this one came out, so I'm really excited to share it with you all. So let's just get started. I'm gonna actually move this to the side. I'll put it so you guys can kind of still see it, and let's get going. Okay, so we're gonna start with a sheet of distressed watercolor cardstock. I'm working with one of the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panels. They come in packs like so. And I actually trimmed it down 1/4 inch to 4 by 5 1/4. I pre-trimmed it so it fits on a card base. And I'm actually using the smooth side of the cardstock. There is a textured side and a smooth side. One is cold press, one is hot press, I believe. That's what matters. I meant to look this up because I wanted to be specific. But anyway, one is a smooth side and one is a textured side. And it is a very heavyweight paper, so it's really nice to use. And I'm going to go in with some Distress Oxide sprays. I'm going to be using some pretty spring colors: Scattered Straw, Milled Lavender, Bundled Sage, and Weathered Wood. I'm using sprays because they create a quick and easy background, and I like to mix it up a little bit. I did inks the last time. I figured this time I'll be adventurous and use sprays. I know sometimes people are a little afraid of sprays. If you have a spray box or a spray booth, I know Tim makes a splat box. That would be really helpful here. I'm just going right on my dirty craft sheet and protecting my clean craft sheet. And again, same thing as the gloss spray. You're going to give these guys a good shake. If you are concerned about clogging, just make sure you wipe off your nozzle after each use, which is actually one thing I did not do with my white, and I'm going to just do that now so I don't forget. So that just helps the nozzle from clogging on any spray. And so you're just going to give these a good shake to get the pigment going. And we're just going to spray. I like to spray in groups of 3s typically. And this is Milled Lavender. I'm going to go a little heavy on that color because it's lighter and I don't want it to get lost, and I may come back and add some more in. And the green. And then Weathered Wood. And I love what this does to that background. And then I'm going to come in with the heat tool. So the reason why I like to use the watercolor cardstock is because it's very absorbent. It takes a lot of this ink really well. As you can see, there's a lot of ink on here. And I don't really want to blot it off because I want that saturated color. So I'm just going to help it out just a little. And you can kind of see what areas, if any, that you want to add more color to as it's drying. What I kind of loved about this color combination and using the oxide, because that oxide has white pigment mixed in with dye, is that it looked like an Easter egg to me. So when you dye your Easter eggs, and they always show them like so bright and everything, but to me I always get like pastel colors. So maybe I'm not soaking them in vinegar long enough or something, but I just really thought that this gave that really mottled like Easter egg color to me. So I really thought that was pretty. And I'm actually gonna just move this aside for 1 second. And of course we have this beautiful like leftovers and waste not, want not. These are the Distress Oxide spray inks that I'm using now. And I always keep these on hand. These are what I had my swatches. These are Letterit little mini tags. They're tiny 1, 2, and 3 tags, great for like presents or journals and things like that. And I just love keeping these on the side for situations like this when I have need some mopping up, because then I can just go in with this and just make some modeled tags and not really waste too much. So it'll dry to like a really cool effect, and you can save those for another project. You can use another piece of watercolor paper. Do you mean right on top of the background, or for the extra that's on the craft sheet? Okay, so I'm gonna come back in here and I just wanna add just a little bit more of the pink. And I'm no distress expert. Obviously, that is for the man, Tim Holtz himself, but I do enjoy playing with his products here. And I love this color combination here. Okay. And then you can just, at this point, you can start to kind of mist with water to create a little model look. Just come in with a cloth. You could use paper towel. This just removes some of the ink. And it's just fun experimenting with different backgrounds. So I think I'm gonna keep that as is, maybe just a couple more spritzes of water. If you just spray the trigger halfway, you kind of get big droplets. If you spray it all the way, you get a mist. So it just depends. Also, if you mist it and then don't dab and dry, you can kind of see a little bit more. You can kind of see the little model effect that caused by spraying that water on top. Oh, right on top. Yeah, so if you wanted to pull a print off of your extra ink, you certainly could do that. I really wanted to try and keep this as saturated as possible. So, but absolutely you could do that. Okay, so this is my background that I made here. And then what we are going to do, I'm gonna actually put this aside and just let it dry just a little bit more. It's pretty dry actually, but I really saturated it with ink. So I'm just gonna put it aside for a second and move on to another step. So I'm gonna actually make my sentiment, which is called Sending Smiles, which is from a Letterit stamp set. It's a newer stamp set. It's a clear stamp set. It's called Hello Sunshine. And I just really loved this sentiment here. I love the open areas because you can color them in and decorate them. And obviously, I just thought this was perfect for this time. Sending Smiles, super perfect. So let me grab, I bet you that fell. Sorry guys, I just gotta look for my stamp. I don't know where it is. My bucket of stuff fell over, so you can see I put everything I need in one bucket, and it fell over, and I feel like my stamp fell out with it. I'm just going to move my craft cart out of the way and see if I can grab it. If not, I will pick a different stamp. Sorry, everyone. The stamp, the stamp was Sending Smiles from the Hello Sunshine Letter It stamp set. I will actually put it on the screen here so you guys can see. I already pre-mounted it to an acrylic block. Here it is, yay! Okay, see, I was trying to be organized here. I pre-mounted it to an acrylic block so that way it was all ready to go, and when my bucket fell over, it fell into my craft cart. I'm working in a very tiny area. So let's put that back in my bucket, and I'm gonna ink this with archival ink. This is one of our new colors. It's called Seafarer, and it's just, I think it's my new favorite. It is just this gorgeous blue. It's not really navy, it's a little lighter than navy. It's like a gray blue. It's really pretty. So I'm gonna ink that. Archival ink, nice and inked well. I know, I really try to be organized for my lives and get everything prepared, but you know, sometimes things just don't go that well. Let me move this up for you guys. All right. Gonna stamp this. And of course, Messy Crafter Kelly already got her cardstock inked up. I'm just applying a lot of pressure because I wanted to make sure I get a nice impression. I think something was wet under there, but there you go. Sending Smiles. And that beautiful blue. I love that blue. I'm gonna actually swatch this blue out for you because I like it. I just think it's so pretty. I'm gonna put some on here and then we'll let it dry so you guys can really see the color. Because I just feel like so we'll let it dry a little bit, but look at that blue. It's so pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna put this aside momentarily. I'm gonna come back to here. I'm gonna work on my background again with our flurries. So we are going to get our big polka dotting stencil. I chose this stencil because it's really fun and you could really see the embossing powder in large areas. And let's get our station back. Slide this back in right here. Got my craft sheet over. I'm going to do my best to hold the paper and the stencil down in areas that I don't need to stencil on, if that makes sense. I'm missing a magnet. I don't know how I could have lost the magnet. Okay. Oh, here it is. I need to get with the program right now. Okay. All right. So we're just going to hold this down again, trying to line up, just find some areas where the stencil isn't, so I could hold both the stencil and the surface down onto the craft sheet. I'm sorry, onto the station. And I'm going in again, Letter It Clear Embossing ink, ink blending tool, and just going through all of these big circles. I'm just dabbing each time. I probably don't even need to do that, but I want to make sure that I get it right. So, and we're gonna apply the flurries right through here. And when you lift the stencil off, you could actually see if you missed any areas. And the great thing about this stencil, it's super easy to reline up if you did miss a spot. Just gonna slide some of the magnets out of the way now just to make sure. Hi Jackie from Australia, thanks for tuning in. How are things in Australia? I'm always curious to know how are things in other parts of the world. Things are very turned upside down right now here in America. Just bought the stencil. This is an awesome stencil. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can kind of see. You could see the ink on there, so you could see if you missed any areas. And when you pour the embossing powder on, if you did miss an area, just go ahead, melt the powder, and then go back, reline the stencil, and then add more ink on and just do the process again. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you love the card. Thank you all for tuning in. It means a lot to me. Okay. It's quiet in Australia. Yeah, staying home, that's it, right? That's all you can do, I guess. That's our parts right now. I was joking with my husband that this is like the family vacation that never ends. You know, it's always like so great when you go on vacation and you get to spend like 24/7 with your family, your kids, your husband. You know, we don't get to do that all the time, you know, with working and school and whatnot. And now we're on week 4 of that. So we're on just like a really long vacation. I'm just cleaning up some of the areas that I might have gotten some extra powder. My hand kind of slipped on this area here. So I could always go back later and touch up if I need to. I can. And you want to make sure your surface is pretty dry when you're putting your embossing powder on, because if it's wet, the powder will stick to the wet areas. So that's why I've kind of put it aside to make sure it was nice and dry. And it doesn't take long to dry, especially if you speed it up with the heat tool. The heat tool really does a nice job. All right. So just cleaning that up just a little bit. Oh, I see one other area. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and melt it. I'm gonna use the embossing gun again. I'm gonna just zoom in so you guys can see this melt. Move this back. And then you can see that clear embossing powder melting right there. And you can still see that beautiful background right underneath of it. It's just a really beautiful result using this Flurries embossing powder. It is magical. I love watching. I feel like just watching embossing powder melt is relaxing in and of itself. making sure I got all my areas. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying this video. Okay, so here we are with our embossed backgrounds. And you can see it's kind of buckled a little bit, but as this cools down, it'll flatten. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now I'm gonna just go back, and as you can see, I embossed right, this is the station right under here. You can emboss, this is heat safe. It does get hot if you, especially if you're just touching right on the metal. But because I have the craft sheet over top of it, that really helps with the actual heat. It's warm, but I can touch it. It's not burning. So just make sure you put a craft sheet over top. We do make a 9x9 craft sheet that fits right on the station perfectly. And I do have one, and I forgot to take it out. So I'm using this piece, but same thing. Yes, so let me show you that. So can you put another layer on top if it needs a little more? Yes, so if you missed a section, like, actually I didn't melt that section all the way. Like right here, I don't know if you can see, I kind of put my finger into it. You can, the great thing about this stencil is that it easily like realigns. So you can find like your area that you want to kind of fix, and you can use the embossing pens too if you have our embossing pens. But you can just go back into your ink and just add a little more ink, and then sprinkle some more powder on. So I'll just come back in with flurries here. This is the area I inked. I'll just do this. So I just reapplied some powder, and then you could just remelt it. And so it'll just kind of remelt right back into each other. And so you can fix any areas where you might have made a mistake or forgot to put. Oh, no problem, Joanne. Yeah, so I'm actually working with 2 heat tools today. I'm using just a standard embossing gun and the Ranger Heated Craft tool. So the reason this guy will melt the powders, it will just take a little bit longer because it doesn't have as much diffused heat as this guy. As you can see, this has a lot of like focused heat. And because I was doing a lot of melting powders, I didn't want to waste your time just melting powder all day. But this is an excellent tool for drying your surface, your inked surface, before you go on and put powder. So it just speeds up the drying time of any inked background or things like that. So I dried it first, my inked background, with the heated tool, and I'm melting the powders with the embossing gun. I hope that answered your question. Okay, so I just remelted the powder over on the edge right over here, and you could just see it just melts right back into itself. So if you miss an area, you can always go back, not a problem. So let's just put that aside for a minute, and let's go back into our sentiment. So we stamped the Sending Smiles with the Hello Sunshine Letter It stamp set in a Seafarer, I can't say that word very well, Seafarer archival ink, and I think it's my new favorite color. I swatched it out at the bottom here for you guys to see just what a beautiful blue that is. So it's not quite a navy, it's just really pretty, and it's just a very neutral color, and I think it's so pretty. So what I'm going to do here is, and this is what I love about the design of these stencils, is that it has these open areas. So you can color them in with pens and inks and pretty much whatever you desire. I'm going to go in with a really fine brush, and I'll show you. Ranger makes a really great brush set. It's called the Artist Brushes. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but it includes, I think it's 7 different brushes, and they're all different sizes. So It's great for just a basic brush set. They're really nice quality, and pretty much every size that you would need for basic crafting is in the set. So it's a really great just starter brush set. What's the Letter It pen? Okay, so we make embossing pens. Do I have them accessible? We make embossing pens under our Emboss It brand. We also make them under our Letter It brand of products. This is, you just see the logo, our Letter It brand of products. We have some Letter It medium pens, and they're great for embossing perfect pearls. They come in 2 packs of 2 in 4 different tip sizes, so bullet point, brush point, and you can emboss with them. You can use perfect pearls with those. So those are the Letter It the Letter It medium pens. Is it Ranger that has the embossing fluid ink in it? Oh yes, it has embossing ink inside. Yes, I think that's what you're answering. So the pens have the embossing ink inside of them, and they're both in Ranger Emboss It brand and Letter It. Does that answer your question? Okay, so I'm gonna just carry on with this, and I'm actually gonna color in these areas here. You can see I did it on this sample, and I'm actually gonna just use the oxide spray so it's in the same colors. So I'm just gonna spray a little bit out on my craft sheet off to the side, and I'm actually gonna wipe my nozzle because I'm gonna be done with these after this. So we always want to wipe our nozzles, and let's see, I'm going to go in with a scattered straw, and again wipe. And I'm not going to use the weathered wood on this because I have the blue outline, so I'm going to put that aside, and then the bundled sage. So I'm just creating little, you could use, oh, I kind of contaminated my yellow. That's okay. You could use distress ink pads. You could use distress oxide ray inkers. You could use really anything to color these, but I wanted to just keep it really simple. So I'm just going in with a very little bit of ink, and I'm dipping right on my, can you guys see this? Yeah, okay. I'm dipping right on my craft sheet, and I'm actually gonna wipe a little bit off on, I just have a baby wipe here, because you really need just like the littlest amount. And I'm just gonna color with a very fine brush. You could use a water brush as well. So I'm just coloring in those open areas. And I'm using the oxide spray. So see, just let me, should I zoom in a little? Sorry. Okay, and actually as it dries, it actually becomes more saturated. Okay, and I'll do the L too. And I'm a lefty, so I apologize. My left hand is kind of covering up the sentiment. But if I painted with my right hand, it would be pretty comical. Hello, everyone. So if you guys are just tuning in, I haven't mentioned this in a little bit, but please feel free to share the video. I will be choosing 2 winners. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get actually some good yellow and not green. I'm gonna respray my yellow just because I got some green on it. There we go. So please feel free to share the video, comment shared so I know you shared it, and I will choose 2 people to receive the embossing powders. And if you're just joining us, the replay will be available. It'll also be posted on our YouTube and on our website, rangering.com, probably by the end of the week. right, so I'm just coloring in these open areas. This is the scattered straw, and I'm gonna do the E over here. Can you guys see? Sorry about that. You don't need a lot. This is a fine brush. Okay. And the last one is the green. Going right here. You can see that one I had a lot on the brush, so literally just a little bit works better. So you want to just a little bit on the brush. And just drag it along, filling in those open areas. There. And let me just zoom back out a little bit. Okay. So there you have it. There's the sentiment. And I'm gonna actually heat it just to dry those open areas a little bit. Okay. And if you remember my letter it tag that I mopped up with, we could always go back into here now and add some more. So look at that, that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna save that for another project. You can just easily stamp any of our letter it stamps right on top of there. We have a ton of hand lettered tags, stamps. They say everything from congratulations, hello friend, so you can tie that right onto a gift package or incorporate it into your art journal, anything like that. You can journal on those. So I love just having those little tags around for that purpose, just kind of a cleanup. These are, I'll show you, these are my cleanups from my practice session of just playing around. So I have those ready to go for another time. And I even mopped up with a black piece of paper. I kind of wanted to see what that would do because the oxide spray has that white pigment. It just kind of turned it white, but I thought that was really cool anyway. So I might add something else to this and make that into like a galaxy background. So I always try and keep my scraps for other projects. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we are going to give this a little cutout. I'm gonna try and cut fast. I'm a not good fussy cutter, but yeah, isn't the black cool? It looks like a nighttime ocean scene to me. My scissors have like glue on them. So we just fussy cut this out. I'm just really trimming off the excess so I have a closer area to work with. What they say when you are cutting, it's best to move the paper and not so much the scissor. So I've really been trying to be a better cutter. I don't want to take a lot of time doing this, so. But people find cutting very relaxing, so I know what Diane does when she's working on her stamps. She stamps them all out on her cardstock, and then she just spends time like cutting them all out, so then she has them ready to place inside of her journal when she's ready to use them. And I'm gonna add some liquid pearls accents to these, so I do want to keep some areas available for that. So I think this is gonna be it. Just gonna leave it at that so I can add in some liquid pearls. And the other thing I wanted to mention was if you wanted to stamp on like a vellum so that you can see all of the backgrounds, you could do that. That would work as well. I didn't have any vellum, but I thought, oh, it would be nice if you had a vellum, stamped this on a vellum piece and then overlaid it your background, then you can actually see a little bit more. Can you work more in view of the camera? Oh, sorry about that. Can you see? Okay, so I'm gonna just add a couple liquid pearls accents, and I'm just gonna put some out on my craft sheet. This is Periwinkle, Blush, and Buttercup. I just picked colors that coordinated. You don't need a lot. And what I'm going to use to apply these are actually new Wendy Vecchi tools. These are Wendy Vecchi Perfect Stylus, and they're made to apply things like liquid pearls, and they help make perfect circles. There's 4 sizes. They come 2 in a pack like this, and so they have different size ball head tips. See if you can see that. So there's that's the largest, and then they go down from there. So they're double-ended, and they're just great for making really nice dots. So I'm just gonna go straight into your liquid pearl right there. Get some on your stylus, and then we're gonna just start adding in a few places. So some of those open areas. Let's see, I'm gonna go like inside here. So you can see perfect little size dots. Let me zoom in a little bit. So perfect little size dots. And the great thing, I think I'm just gonna do those 3 areas. The good thing about doing it with the stylus is that it dries really quick. So I'm gonna just do some other sizes. So I'm gonna go in with the next largest size, go into my Buttercup. We're gonna add that. So these will just give a little bit of fun and a little bit of dimension to your cards. Another way to use liquid pearls, you can use them straight from the bottle, but this just really helps get those really fine dots. And last color, I'm just gonna go in with pink. And straight up and down. Like that. And last one. There we go. So I just added some dots to that sentiment. So hold it up close so you guys can see. And I feel like I need a little bit more on this yellow one here. So I'm just gonna go back. Okay. So now we're just gonna assemble a card. So I'm gonna use, there's my background, and I'm gonna use a Wendy Vecchi Perfect Gray cardstock. Let me just zoom back out. There we go. Okay, so Wendy Vecchi Perfect Gray cardstock. This is a folded card, and I love this shade of gray. It's a nice, cool shade of gray. And we're just gonna apply, I'm just gonna adhere this to the card. I'm gonna actually use a liquid adhesive just because it's a little bit quicker. This is Multimedia Matte, and it has a fine tip. I just put one of our fine tip applicators on it. If you're glue heavy like I tend to be, this is a great tool for you to have because it can control your gluing tendencies, your tendency to over glue. And it also keeps your nozzles unclogged. So it's just a great little tool to have. I'm just gonna add a couple more dots. Again, I like glue, tend to over glue. So, and then you're just gonna find what direction you like your background to be in. I'm gonna go this way. And the thing I love about making cards like this is you never get two exactly the same because your backgrounds are never gonna be exactly the same. I'm just gonna line this up. And I love having the liquid adhesive because it gives you a little play to line that up good. Just gonna press it down. So it'll dry nice and flat. You could use a dry adhesive too. I just didn't want to have to fumble with tape and stuff. So this is just a great option for that. And we're gonna put our sentiment right on. I'm gonna use foam for that. So we have a few different options for foam. Yeah, so the Stylist Cynthia is a great tool for the liquid pearls. It helps keep them all the same size, and they are just like nice little flat dots when you use the Stylist. So it's a great, perfect stylus. So Wendy Becky released that at Creativation in January. So those are a new addition to her line. Okay, so this is a new roll of foam tape here. So I'm just gonna get that started. And also because the dots are a lot smaller, they dry really quick. I wonder actually if they're dry yet. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'm touching them, they're almost dry. I would say they're 90% dry. They're just a little bit tacky still. So just put some foam on the back here. This is what was stuck on my scissors. I'm just gonna put 2 pieces. Move this up. Sorry, when I cut, I tend to bring everything towards me closer so it gets out of camera. Okay, so let's peel this up. It's a very cute springtime card, and it's very cheerful, and I feel like if anybody received this in the mail, they would be so happy. So here we go. Move this out of the side. So here we have it. So guys, here's our projects, and I almost want to just stamp this. This is dry, and I just feel like, why not, right? We're here, let's just finish. So I'm gonna just grab a stamp set. Here we go. So this is just birthday stamp set, and let's see, what one should we do? Should we do cheers? Celebrate? Well, maybe we'll do celebrate. So clear stamp. Gonna go right back on this acrylic block here, and I'm gonna ink it with the same color ink because I just love that. And so this is just great. As you're crafting, you can be wiping up your extras onto these little tags, and you can just build your little stash of gift tags and things like that. So I'm gonna move this up a little. So I'm just pressing, trying to get a really good impression. You could rock it just gently a little bit. Lift up. Look at that. So that area there, it has a lot of the oxide, so it kind of created this mottled look, but it looks really neat. And I'm glad I just did that while I was here. You could accent that with little perfect pearls too, and there you have it. You have some fun projects, and of course, don't forget your spring banner. This is such a cute project. So I hope you guys had a ball crafting with me today. Thank you all for tuning into this replay of our Facebook Live event featuring Speckled embossing powders. I hope you enjoyed crafting with me today. Feel free to hit the subscribe button below and follow us on Facebook at Ranger Inc. for our next live video event. Have a great day.